What is up, traders? Hope everybody's doing well. This lecture will be a follow-up lecture connecting the volume imbalances with fair value gaps and the relationship between them. So now you guys know what a fair value gap is, or an imbalance. Now you guys know what a volume imbalance is. Now there is a connection between the two. What is the connection? Right here, if I ask you guys to give me a fair value gap in this region, you guys most likely will tell me that the fair value gap is basically this right here, correct? That is correct in most cases, but if we look closely, we can see that there's a volume imbalance right at that fair value gap. We discussed before or earlier that a fair value gap is made of 3 candles, and those 3 candles right here are this candle, and this candle. Now, when one of these 3 candles has a volume imbalance, the fair value gap now becomes the entire thing. What do I mean by that? Right here, we can clearly see that we have a volume balance, right? Between this candle and this candle. The opening price on this candle, the closing price on this candle is 21,626.25. The opening price on this candle is 21,626.75. So from 0.25 to 0.75, there's half a handle of a difference between the two, right? That means we have a volume balance right here. So the volume balance in this case will be as so, this to here. So this, like so. So this is a volume balance, correct? So this will be an FVG. And then, let's put it in the center, inside, right, okay. Let's do black. So this is an FVG, while this is a volume imbalance, correct? This is a volume balance. Now, this, as we said, is a fair value gap right here. And this little bit is a volume balance. Now, when we have a fair value gap and a volume balance, like so, they are merged. So what do I mean by this? The volume imbalance now is deleted, and the fair value gap becomes this entire thing. Yes, we engulf the wick. We engulf the wick here, and this wick becomes part of the fair value gap when you have a volume imbalance like this. So it becomes like so. Instead of only this being the fair value gap, no, we have a volume imbalance, so this whole thing becomes the fair value gap. This is very, very important because most of the times price will see, or people will see price come down, for example, and they're waiting for it to tap into the fair value gap, and it just falls short of it. So let's say, for example, price was to come back down, and then they have this marked out as the fair value gap, like so. And now, since this is the fair value gap, they're waiting for price to, for example, come back up to touch it for them to enter shorts, but it just falls short of it, and then it reverses, and then they don't get the entry. But if they drew it correctly, they would know that this whole thing is the fair value gap, and now there you go, you got tapped in. So this is, as I said, very, very crucial. For now, just understand that when you have a fair value gap with a volume balance, the whole thing becomes a fair value gap. I'm gonna look for one bearish right there. Boom, one bearish example. Here, this would be the fair value gap, correct? But since we have a volume balance right there, that's the volume balance, right? We can see it very clearly right there. So now the volume balance is deleted and the fair value gap becomes the whole thing, including the wick. So now, and by the way, this is a beautiful example. This is such a beautiful example. Look at this wick. I didn't cherry pick this, I just picked this randomly. Look at this wick. Didn't it tap into the fair value gap? Now, if you had the fair value gap drawn like this, you would have never been tapped in for your short. You would have been like, yes, I'm looking for a reversal trade. I want to enter some shorts. You would have done something like this. Short position. You would have wanted to wait, for example, for this short. So you would have placed your short here. And then maybe stop loss above the high, whatever. And then you would have wanted to enter short. And you would say, yes, I'm waiting for this inverse fair value gap or this fair value gap to be respected. You would have never got filled in. You would have missed the trade. Why? Because you drew it incorrectly. It's incorrect. You have to include the volume balance. And if you did include it, we can see how price here wicked. So now you would have placed your entry here, and now you would have been in the trade. You see that? It's very important. This is a very important lesson. Volume balances with fair value gaps. When you have a fair value gap and a volume balance like this, whether it's bullish or bearish, we include the volume balance with that fair value gap, and so the whole thing becomes a fair value gap. Very important. Okay. Again, there's going to be a homework assigned with this. Please be sure to do it. And I hope you guys found this insightful. And until next time, stay safe. What is up, traders? Hope everybody's doing well. A very important point that I forgot to mention in the fair value gap lectures, the fair value gap and imbalances, is, in this case, this is a screenshot from my notes from when I was learning ICT. This is a screenshot directly from his charts. When we have fair value gaps or candles with no upper wick like this, and then we have a fair value gap, the whole thing is denoted as a fair value gap, right? So just like how we said with imbalances where, let's say, for example, in this example, right, the fair value gap usually would be from here to here, but since we have a volume imbalance, so now the whole thing becomes a FVG, right? The same thing applies when you have a candle with no upper wick. So when you have a candle with no upper wick and then you have a fair value gap like this, the whole thing becomes a fair value gap. So you denote it from here to here, just like how ICT has it denoted, right? So that's a very important point that I forgot to mention. And then one last thing is that wicks are gaps. So you see how wicks here, when you have a long wick like this, they are treated just like fair value gaps, right? Just have that noted in your head for now. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to use this in the future, but just have this information right now. Just put in the back of your head that wicks are also gaps, okay? Just how we treat the fair value gaps, wicks are also gaps, okay? When you have long wicks like this, or even any wick, honestly, but the main ones that we focus on are longer wicks that are abnormally long compared to the candle side itself. So like this, something like this, we won't look at something like this, won't look at these, won't look at something like this, we will look at. So wicks are gaps when the wick is significant compared to the candle that it's being printed on, right? So just these are the two things that I forgot to mention in the previous lecture of volume balances and fair value gaps, is that number one, when you have a candle that has no upper wick or lower wick, and then you have a fair value gap also. So then the fair value gap is now included fully, and then wicks that are abnormal in size compared to its candles are also gaps. So that's going to conclude the fair value gaps and volume imbalances. Hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, stay safe.